Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
Alrighty, folks. Welcome to episode 63 of the Cosmodrome Radio podcast, the show all about Destiny 2 and everything that's great about it. We are here having a great time. It is a few weeks. We got 3 weeks, 3 total weeks until final shape. Well, more like 2.5-ish.
Yeah, 2.5.
But we are right on the money, almost time for some excellent witness action inside the Traveler Hunters. You get to see your senpai again. It's going to be great. We're going to be having a great time on this vacation.
Daddy Kate, I miss you!
Like, literally every person in the Cade clan is going to be nutting, and it's going to be hilarious. But don't forget, folks, that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, all those great places. Spotify, your sole top dog on our listen stats. If you want to rate this show on Spotify or Apple, that definitely helps our analytics. If you're trying to rate us on Apple, you got to scroll down to the bottom of the screen. So make sure that you pull the show, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see the review tabs. Make sure that you do that. Help support the show in that big way. We have a new merch drop coming for the final shapes. Make sure you get ready for that. But we are going to go ahead and dive into the mix here, folks. My name is Jay Paracals, and we are watching this on my channel. We putting in work every week here. To my right, we have the Spicy Man, who, honestly, Roke just wanted to give him a big old kiss tonight, and it was kind of funny to watch. Like, every 5 seconds, Roke was just like, hey, yo, you about to get caught up in these lips. And it was hilarious tonight on Pantheon week 3. Cajun, how you doing?
I'm going to tell you right now, it was either regular Roke kicking my head off and then Shadow Roke kicking my dick off. It's like, man, pick one and leave the other alone.
Like if anybody was looking like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, it was that man right there. He keeps kicking me in the dick.
But anyways, dude, finally getting Pantheon. This was week 3, right? Week 3 done. It felt so fucking good. Yeah, we were in there for a while, but fuck yeah, we pulled through. We got it done. But outside that, oh yeah, no kidding. Just before friggin' podcast. But outside of that, new cut, new do, freaking loving life. Still, by the way, I want to thank a lot of the community members and everybody else that, reached out to me on socials and DMs. Thank you all for the kind words. Morden is now officially resting here in my office area, so he will not be forgotten. But outside of that, just getting ready for final shape, getting ready to for contest day 1 raid. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm excited.
Most definitely.
And then definitely. It was very interesting to see all the freaking little tidbits of news that Bungie shared this week, and then what to expect next week. But before we hop into that, I'd like to introduce our special guests, another Destiny 2 content creator and streamer, KNOPE. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me on.
Most
Thank
definitely.
you for stopping by.
It's been very fun talking with these guys beforehand, by the way. They're hilarious. But yes, I do a lot of Destiny 2, but I've been trying to branch out a little bit lately before the final shape, because I'm definitely going to be in there, like, especially with the new what's the word called, the prismatic stuff.
Oh yeah, prismatic.
I think it's called prismatic. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that, super excited for the day 1. So I'm prepping for that. I've been doing a lot of Pantheon helps and doing Pantheon in general. I like the way they're doing stuff with that, and I hope in the future that they bring it back. But super excited to be here, though. Very
Most
excited.
definitely. One thing that we've been trying to do with each one of our guests is like, what is like your ghost story? What is the thing that like got you into Destiny, that made your ghost resurrect you, in terms of that sense?
I don't know if it'll be awkward to say, but my ex.
Oof. Sorry about that.
No,
it's
fine. No, it's good. Like, I actually thank him for bringing me into Destiny, to be honest with you, because I did start Destiny during the launch, but I didn't connect with it at the time.
Gotcha.
So I played maybe about 20 to 30 hours, but I fell off of it. And I think I started playing like Fortnite when it came out, because I think it was around the same time. So I became into Fortnite and then Borderlands, and then with my ex at the time, he was like, Shadowkeep's coming out. And I was like, I haven't played Destiny in years. Like, let's do it. And ever since then, I've been hooked. And I've been playing since Shadowkeep. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, X.
Okay.
I've been having a great time since, so.
Most definitely. Okay. So Bungie started off the week on Tuesday with dropping a bunch of teasers in regards to a bunch of new exotics that we're getting. And the first one they hinted at was a Warlock exotic. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little jealous. And this is the thing I had said for a while, that the only reason why people don't want to play Strand Warlock in endgame content is because they're not able to suspend. And I hypothesize that if this exotic would have came out pre-Lightfall, I would say right after Lightfall, rather, like we wouldn't, or I would say pre-season of the Deep. Pre-season of Deep, we wouldn't have seen the nerf to suspension if this exotic would have came out with the launch of Season of Defiance and Lightfall. If this would have came out off rip and given Warlocks a way to suspend, we wouldn't have seen the nerf to suspend. Like Ambient Elite would still be endgame.
No. So first and foremost, yes, it would have accelerated it. Okay, because of the yes. Okay, but. Second of all, they did have the ability to suspend. It's just a lot of people didn't figure out how to incorporate the required exotics. Osteostriga and freaking Necrotic Grips, and then just recently discovered Nazarek Sin and freaking Polaris Lance, both using Mind Spun Invocation.
Those
combos were creating suspend like freaking crazy. But now having the additional ability, kind of like Titans with their banner, being able to do an additional suspend, that would have made it, they would have nerfed it a lot sooner. But the interesting interaction is that we saw in the video, for the champion to get suspended, it required all three melees. It's going to be interesting to see if it really requires all three, or if by putting all three, you ignite a bigger suspension blast.
That's true.
So off the rip, it looks a bit mid, like it requires too much to put into it. But how it plays out could make it either mid or extremely good for Strand Warlock.
Right. Like it's almost as if like because there is a delay, especially after the third shot. I've been playing right now in the background. Like after the third shot, there is a small delay. So I'm wondering if you're right that, like, especially if you only have one needle thread, or whatever the heck it's called, I forget, my arcane needle. If you only have one, then cool, you get the suspension, but maybe it's a smaller explosion. So so that might play into it a little bit, kind of like how there's a radius for the hunter dive. Maybe that'll have sort of a way about it as well.
Like the more you hit, the more it's going to,
the bigger it'll be, right?
Basically, yeah. I actually like the fact that they're putting more into Warlock Strand, because I feel like it's underwhelming, but underrated as well. Like people have been using Warlock Strand for like Rogue DPS, for example, and that's like been hitting a little bit. But I that's my like most favorite one that I want to try out, because I'm a Warlock main right now, and I love like the Strand Warlock, so I'm very happy. I do enjoy Arcane Needle, so
yeah. But the only thing strong for like Warlock is roaches. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
My babies.
Roaches are great. I'm not gonna lie. So then there's the new Hunter exotic, which makes it so when you use your arc abilities, it sends out little like arc mines, whether it be the new arc melee you're getting in Final Shape, where it has a little storm copter thing, or the regular arc staff Tempest Strike. you're going to be able to send out these arc mines. And here's my one thing. I forget, someone made a video critiquing this today, yesterday, I believe. But we're making Raid and Flux and Raiju's Harness mean nothing even more than they already do. I'm gonna keep it call a spade a spade. Like Raiju's Harness and Raid and Flux mean nothing right now as it is. So this on top of it's gonna be like, well, never mind. Just put them in, like, dismantle them motherfuckers, because like there ain't no reason to use those.
So real quick, so I will definitely agree that freaking Raid and Flux and Raiju's Harness needs to have, like, they need to put more into it. Those need to be freaking fixed up. Now, I want to correct you. It's not arc abilities, it's arc aspects.
Oh, it's arc arc aspects?
Right. So in other words, you've got to be able to trigger.
Oh, yeah, that, yeah.
You got to be able to trigger one of the 3 arc aspects that you're using. So the most common for hunters, one second, let me pull up my loadout here.
Yeah.
Is going to be flow state and lethal current.
So you can literally just punch a motherfucker and make mines, is what you're saying. That's gonna be so toxic in PvP.
That's my first thought. Seeing that, I was like, it's gonna be horrible in PvP because with, you know how hunters and their specter, it's kind of like that. They can just put down a clone and then it could one-shot you. So I'm really hoping like it doesn't one-shot you if you're in like the vicinity, anything like that, because like that's what I'm mostly afraid of in PvP.
Yeah, and like also we don't know if these mines are going to be able to jolt, so you don't know how much utility this is going to have outside of PvP either. So like these mines might not be that effective when it comes to PvE at all. Like I think they should be able to jolt at the very least in PvE. Otherwise, it's like what's the point?
Yeah.
So right here, so this is what I was talking about. Lethal current. After dodging, your next melee attack has an increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. So that right there, by doing your dodge, you're going to start the trigger of lethal current right there. That's going to deploy mines.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got flow state. Defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. Going amplified off of that melee attack when you defeat that target, that's going to cause another freaking drop of freaking mines.
Yeah.
So
do they proc automatically?
That's going to be the stream when it's going to proc. It's going to be the very interesting the situation.
Right.
But using this setup on a freaking Assassin's Cowl build, that's going to scream utter freaking AoE madness.
Yeah. I'm afraid. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I feel like unless those arc mines can actually do some decent damage or jolt, I don't see it doing nothing outside of PvE. I'm gonna keep it $150 because like people using Assassin's Cowl are more common in the streets than anything. So like I don't see the big advantage to using this, in all honesty. So we'll have to see how that goes. Now, looks like somebody at the tower yanked failsafe off of Nessus, because if you look at the hazardous propulsion, it's got failsafe's logo on the front.
Yeah.
And the rockets that this thing shoots out are called Exodus rockets. So did somebody go turn failsafe into a chess piece, or like what's going on here? Because that's pretty awesome. But so for those who don't know, the idea behind this exotic is whether you hit your thruster or your barricade as a Titan, it shoots out like a stream of rockets, like whatever direction you're facing. So here's what I'm wondering. And I said it on Twitter when this thing dropped, and I never got confirmation from Bungie at all. So hopefully somebody gets confirmation at some point. Do these rockets match your subclass? Because that would be really good, especially for overall DPS. If you don't have any kind of exotic that matters when it comes, like if you don't want to wear Precious Scars or Lorelei or something like that, that could be really good. Now in PvP, it has some like potential and giving Titans a little bit more utility with their barricade besides just blocking. But I'm wondering if these are going to do just kinetic damage or elemental damage. Because if you look, they look similar to the type of rockets that shoot out of the freaking Quicksilver Storm. So I'm wondering if they're going to be kinetic based or how that's going to work. So we'll have to see. But in terms of this, like, it feels like Failsafe just got shoved into a chess piece. I'm going to keep it a $150.
I don't want her to be like in a chess piece only because I feel like she deserves better. So I really hope that they made like a replica, you know, because my girl needs some love, you know,
She really do.
Lore, like,
yeah,
we need to bring her back, bring her somewhere. And like, I feel like with the look of the rockets, I don't know if it seems like any elemental from what
That's
I
what
can
I'm worried about. Yeah, like
I wasn't able to see anything.
Like.
Yeah,
like they just look that like what I find very interesting too is that they kind of just like all assemble above you and then launch. So it's like like the way
probably.
Like that's so cool. And I like that they started with like the first part of the video, them doing thruster first. That way you see the potential of it as just a thruster and then also barricade. So, and I like that they even show with Rally Barricade, the rockets are at somewhat a decent height. That way they do clear the towering barricade as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm excited to see how that plays out.
My one issue about that, since I'm like a big PvP player, is that we're putting too much like crutch into barricades.
Let's speak on it because I love speaking on this issue.
The amount of like
can you explain your thought process?
Like, I play Titan, you know, in PvP, so I crutch it as well, basically. Like, but I'm an Arc Titan, but the amount of like people hiding behind barricades, void, you know, like what's that, void shields. It's just like I think we're putting too much like I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of. We're putting too much into like that ability when we should probably be putting it into like something else. Even
I mean,
that's
fair,
thing, right? But
yeah, that's fair to a certain extent. I will say though, I think the slander against Barricade is overhyped. I think it's a lot of individuals that don't want to play a PvP shooter. They just want to run and gun and have no consequence for their actions. So I'm of the opinion that people like who are too hard on Barricade when all like the amount of hunters that I see who will run straight through a barricade and get a kill or just like hop over it is like nonstop. Like even today in trials, people were just jumping over barricades. So it's like what like I agree that some people lean on it too much, but you still can be taken out relatively easily even before the nerfs that occurred. So it's like I'm very much on the side of barricade support because in a world where there's like RPG elements and things like Overwatch, you wouldn't want Reinhardt's shield to do next to no like no defense whatsoever. That he wouldn't be able to do his job as a tank. So it's like when people say nerf barricade into the ground, my brain's like, why? Do you not understand the game that you're playing?
yeah, I see your point. Yeah, like the
yeah.
strain barricade though. Oh my gosh, if you don't know what's coming, you're getting suspended.
which is wild too, because it's rare that I'm ever able to get that Dranger's Lash off. I every once in a while I'll get it, but like it's very rare that it actually hits the target, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have a sneaking suspicion on this. So if you notice as of late, Bungie's been doing a lot of tweaks to exotics and giving them double benefits. Like I'll take my one that's fresh off my mind, Celestial Nighthawk. Of course, we all know what its main purpose does. It takes your freaking golden gun and turns into a single shot high damage super. But the other bit that they recently made it was that precision kills grant super energy. So if I was to make a prediction, I have a feeling that this is going to have a rocket interaction with rocket launchers.
Right, because at the end of the clip, it does show dude holding a rocket launcher. So there's potential for that.
So Titans, hey, rockets may be your new best friend in more ways than one.
Well, and like what if you notice the rocket spin, like the camera spins towards the dread enemy. So like, are they gonna make rockets do some kind of spin animation, or like what's going on with that?
I think that was probably just more of like cinematic flair, but
okay, but like that could be interesting too. But like, we'll have to see what happens with that.
I would like it if they did like a Borderlands situation where you can like throw it and it spins and it just shoots rockets.
That would be cool. I will say though, I can already predict though with Dranger's Lash in this chess piece, depending on how much damage them rockets do.
Brutal.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. So we'll have to see about that. Now, let's dig into some weapon changes, shall we? Because Bungie thought.
Well, I was gonna say we got a couple more things that Bungie dropped on the
Oh
plate.
yeah, you're right. So Bungie.
First off, the Kostov.
Kvostov is back.
Kvostov, god damn it, my.
Oh no, you're fine. Kvostov is back with a vengeance, and funnily enough, because of the podcast colors are the Russian Federation colors, Kvostov is its podcast colors. So yay! But what I find interesting about its new exotic perk is that the 7th bullet ricochets. And what I find interesting about this, it's every 7th bullet. So like, is that increased damage or like what's gonna happen? Like, I'm interested to find out what'll be the flair of that, especially with not more likely with the upcoming changes we have to talk about. Like, kinetic weapons aren't gonna be that sought after. Like, unless they like do so, like a good amount of damage post the upcoming like changes. I'm wondering what will be the flair or the worth it beyond nostalgia to use this.
So looking at the video when it ricocheted, it looked like the ricochet was all precision damage.
Oh,
because if you notice where the shot comes from, it comes from the head area.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the fact that it took out nearby enemies that, for the most part in the video, did not receive any damage, it could have potential lethality for red bars. Now, orange and yellow, it's a whole different ball game, but being able to ricochet off that, basically you have a new precision version of kinetic tremors, is what it looks like.
Potentially. Then the next thing Bungie swung at us was our first ever heavy trace rifle. Cenotaph Warlocks rejoice. you now have a new toy.
I just built into that, so I'm pretty excited.
That's gonna be very interesting, because now it's gonna be a question of, will that heavy trace rifle actually cause a target and cause it to spawn heavy ammo?
I think it should. I mean,
and the thing about it is,
agree.
I'm wondering if, like, some people are saying, depending, like, it might just be cinematic based, but some people are wondering if this thing's gonna be like Hardlight and Dead Messenger, where it can change its element. But at the same time, looking at it, it almost looks like all void. So I'm torn. Like, maybe they have a point, but also it looks like it's all void damage. So I'm like, I'm wondering if Bungie's gonna give us a new big toy or just like a really big void beam to shoot at people.
So I don't think it's void, because when you look at the crystal at the first 4 seconds of the video, the crystal looks prismatic.
It could be a combination of all. It could be like a one. Like
that would be interesting.
Subclass, essentially.
What if it had the ability to change its subclass based off the shield you break?
Interesting.
That would be an interesting idea. I could get behind that. Then the other one that Bungie threw at us after the twin dropped, that I'm kind of oh my god, is the Still Hunt, which is the first ever golden gun in a gun, where somehow the sniper rifle is able to shoot golden gun bullets.
I like that, because we already have like an arc similar to that,
like Cloud Strike.
Cloud Strike, yeah. So I think they're putting in, hopefully. Well, I mean, do we have a void one already?
Not really. I mean, like there's Borealis, but Borealis can shoot everything. So it's like,
Yeah, like I eventually want them to do like every single one.
Like an
so you have
exotic
a
void that
part.
puts out big damage.
Yeah, I would like that. Like I'm a big sniper person, so I'm very excited to try this one out.
All right, all right. I will
So
say,
I
go ahead.
did see some hunters on Twitter and even on TikTok saying that, we're losing a subclass to a weapon. No,
Ooh,
first and foremost, if you know anything about loadout building, no, you haven't. And if
honestly,
anything, you enhanced. And this is what I'm talking about. I already mentioned Celestial Nighthawk. Precision kills, hit super energy.
but
So if
also,
you're
like, I don't
so if
think
you
it's gonna do the same amount of damage as a normal golden gun, because at
no,
that point it makes hunters obsolete. I don't think Bungie's gonna do that.
no, if anything, and I'm gonna say this for Celestial Nighthawk Solar Hunters, this is gonna replace Izanagi's burden.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Because you'll be able to pop off, if you do it right, pop off your golden gun, then pop off your freaking golden guns from Still Hunt, and then go into your DPS rotation. That is going to be some fucking crazy combinations going on.
Now, go ahead.
I was thinking it's kind of similar to like Revision Zero because there's a separate mode that is a sniper rifle. But like I've never really played around with it in PvE, so I'm like maybe it's a similar like damage to it, or maybe a little bit higher, you know?
Yeah, I think it's gonna have a meter like Revision Zero, because like you see from the clip that it takes like the build up similar to Revision Zero for you to be able to shoot that bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like almost like an alternate fire mode. But
I
also,
don't know if it'll replace Izzy's, honestly.
Now I will say what I would think would be kind of cool is if you are wearing Nighthawk, it did bonus damage I could get behind. But like,
if that was the case,
I think people would just trust that.
like that would be kind of cool. So we'll have to see what happens. And I think I forget who posted the meme of it, but people who are like, "Oh my god, it's taking away a subclass." I'm like, this ain't the first time other motherfuckers have gotten other perks. Like, or granted, it's the first time other supers have been giving other people away. But like everyone has Devour now, but also like
Nova Bomb.
Yeah, Deathbringer has Nova Bomb, and also like everybody has Devour now, and everyone has Volatility. When before only Titans had Volatility, so it's like who cares? Let's spread the love around. We're all diverse. This subset now.
I don't know why we're gatekeeping.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
You should be excited. You know, what if it does pair with Nighthawk? You know, like that's a good thing. You know,
people be weird. Now, in terms of the newer updates motherfuckers were getting, it's time for some weapon tuning. So Bungie is making a very controversial choice, in my opinion. The first part of the weapon article says they are getting rid of boss spec, taken spec, minor spec, major spec, and adept big one spec. For those who don't know, like who are casual players, adept big ones is specifically a mod that you can get from trials or GMs that will basically cover minor, major, and boss spec on an adept weapon, whether it be from trials or GMs or from a raid. And the reasoning behind this, they're saying, is they're kind of deprecating it, similar to how they got rid of Dragonfly Surrounded spec and Rampage spec. And I can't say I'm a big fan of this, even though they're saying, hey, to compensate for this, we're buffing pulse rifles by 20%, pellet shotguns 10, slug got shotguns 9, fusion 7, sniper 7, glaive 7, etc. Like, while I'm excited for the potential of pulse rifles and whatnot in different archetypes, but because of this change, I think this is the continued trend that I keep seeing from Bungie, where we're deprecating too many things rather than keeping the game diverse. Because this is now round 4 of deprecation that I've seen in recent memory, where we deprecated Dragonfly, Rampage, and Surrounded spec. We deprecated planetary materials. We're about to deprecate legendary shards. Make sure you spend your legendary shards on go shit before Final Shape, kids. We're deprecating these. It feels like we're taking away the RPG elements in an effort to dumb down mechanics for the layman, rather than having people dive into the diverse world that Destiny 2 is supposed to be. And it's like, I understand your logic, but I don't agree with your logic. If that makes sense. Like, it feels as if we're trying too hard to make onboarding easier. It's kind of the same way where they kind of like said, rather than fixing the new light experience, we're just gonna give everybody a kit in a skip button over by Shahan where there's a floating ship. Like, rather than fixing the experience, we'll just let you skip it. Like, it feels like we're simplifying too much, and I don't understand why.
I feel like at some point we're not even gonna go to a destination. Like, because like I liked going when I first started, like I went to the moon. I was in the moon like 24/7 just getting I don't know what the planetary stuff was called, but helium, I think.
Helium filaments, yeah.
Like I had like 20K of those. I was just like doing bounties. It's like I miss going to places and having like a purpose. And like removing the planetary stuff, it's just like, why go there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like at some point they're gonna remove something that's like, destination purposes as well. I don't mind getting like planetary stuff and using them for like glimmer and whatnot, but I don't know what their step is for like removing everything though.
Yeah.
Especially with the mods, like I feel like eventually, what if we remove like the raid mods that we earn? Like,
right.
Yeah. Well, and I've been saying this for a while that they kind of need to like bake the raid mods into the raid armor, but at the same time, give the raid armor better stats. Like they should not be rolling anything lower than a freaking 60.
Now I will admit, I think it was Aztecross who said it, where like this does give room for things like backup mag or adept mag on certain things.
And so that was one thing I was gonna say. Now I didn't hear that Aztecross said that. So, but this was something that I've been thinking about for a while. For the go-to in PvE has always been minor, major, boss, and adept big ones as far as doing content. Anything else, if you used backup mag or counterbalance or any other thing, you got corrected and you got told, take that off. That's for PvP only.
Right.
This now opens up other avenues. And I'm going to say this, Bungie, you need to fix the other mods. Make them worth putting on. Okay? Because, for the most part, I can promise you everyone's going to be putting backup mags on almost every single freaking weapon, including power weapons. Yeah. In order to get extra ammo, it's going to, even if it's one or two, it's still going to be better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to rework it so it benefits for both PvE and PvP.
And the thing about it is like
something else to that mod. Like I don't remember what the counter one does, honestly.
Like it counterbalance just helps you. It just
increases increases recoil direction. So let's say you're sitting at about 70. I think it adds about 30 to the recoil direction, to where at that point you're sitting at 100, which is straight up. There's hardly any deviation left and right.
And the thing about it is, like, I am a firm believer in the fact that, like, now I'll be able to have adept mag on my cataphract adept, which is cool. Like, I'll be able to have adept mag, but it's like at the same time we are taking away the important. And this is the kind of goes back to what I talked about buffs and nerfs. Like, we're taking away the importance of things without buffing other things, and it's like.
They always do that though. They always nerf the like big ones, but then they don't touch the other stuff. Like, why don't you just buff the other stuff? Like you don't have to touch the other stuff. Just buff what's not going to use a lot constantly. Because I'm pretty sure they have the stats.
Yeah, and like I even made the statement with Cajun, where I was like, what if we just bake minor spec into major spec? That way, that's a more logical deprecation than just getting rid of the whole system. Because most people are going to use major spec on most non-boss related weapons. So why not just bake like minor into major, or change the name of major? That way it makes more sense, where you have boss spec and like overall spec or something like that, something more generalized and catchy, like something that way it's used for everything that's not a boss, and then you use boss spec for bosses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would do like adept and medium ones.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Be that name.
So we'll definitely have to see what happens with that specifically. And so yeah, there definitely is an increase of damage across the board. One thing that I am excited for in terms of the overall weapon changes, like I said, pulse rifles are getting a PvE increased base, but also that they're getting an increase versus minors as well, where auto rifles and pulse rifles are getting a 15%. And for pulse rifles, this is in addition to the above buff. Graviton Lance and Revision Zero's heavy burst mode will not be getting the buff, which I can understand that, because if that sniper bullet hits something and just kills it, I can understand that. That'd be kind of busted. In terms of splash damage globally, we are nerfing splash damage, and we're nerfing it on specifically Sunshot, Polaris Lance, Graviton Lance, and Trinity Ghoul. The reason why I said those last two last is because I don't understand why. Because Bungie already nerfed Graviton a while back. Bungie made sure when it came to the splash of Graviton, they nerfed it. That way it wouldn't do big damage in PvP. And now they're like, hey, we're gonna nerf it again. And it's like, why? Like, I understand.
The one thing to take into account, though, is that the nerf is minor. We're talking about a 10% in damage. So it's not something that's like, oh, this gun's not going to be worth it anymore. No. Graviton Lance, even Polaris Lance. Graviton Lance still hits like an absolute truck for the freaking archetype that it is. And it's still one of the best. No, dude, it really does hit. You hit your precision shot, you're getting 2 rounds. That's the other thing. It's a 2-round exotic. Okay, 2-round pulse rifle shot. Yeah. They're both going to go where you put your freaking marker at. So guaranteed, it hurts. It hits, and I'll freaking love it. But the splash damage, okay, I can kind of understand. Some of the other things that they did. Let's talk about Grave Robber. Now it also works on damaging with a powered melee.
Where are you at? Because I'm still over on the weapons, dog. Where are you? You jumped down to the weapon perks. You jumped down there. Back it up, sir. Back it up. We ain't done yet, because I still have a complaint. Why are we nerfing splash damage on Trinity Ghoul? Trinity Ghoul is good for ad clear overall, and it's
the splash damage does a freaking lot.
But not in the high level content.
Even on GM level, it still does a lot.
It's GM levels.
They're overperforming.
Yes.
They always nerf overperformed and the most used weapons. So Sunshot, Polaris. Yeah.
I'm like Sunshot, surprised. Polaris makes sense. Those are not questionable.
Has been the go-to bow for ad clear for years. Honestly, but it's like, I don't really see a lot of Lemon. I see a lot more Trinity.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not surprised, honestly. Like, I saw that, I was like, yep, I knew it was coming.
I can't get behind that one, because, like, especially for high level content, like Trinity Ghoul, it already takes like 2 to 3 arrows to kill like a major with that thing, or even some minors. So it's like, I don't fully understand why Trinity Ghoul. I can get behind Graviton, you make a case for, but Tri Ghoul, I can't get behind.
What minors are you hitting?
And GMs, my guy.
You know,
my guy. If I freaking shoot, I'm dead ass in there freaking them in one shot. At that point, guess what? I got the freaking proc. Game over. Game over. I'm arcing the living shit out of them.
We'll have to do some testing, but like,
you know, like chain reactions nerf, right? So like that splash damage, that AOE, it's like the similar kind of nerf. You know, it's not gonna hit, like,
chain reaction got a bigger nerf.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But so we move on to kinetic weapons. They're taking, like I already mentioned, they're hitting kinetic weapons where they're taking away the damage buff they gave to kinetic weapons. And
but they only did it to bosses only. That's the one big thing to understand.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Why? Here's a great idea, Bungie, because I know why they did this. They're doing it specifically to target the 2 raid snipers, the Last Wish one and the Deep Stone one.
No,
and
no.
Yes,
there's another weapon. There's another weapon. Outbreak Perfected.
You mother.
So it's
not my baby.
I told you that unless Bungie did something, Outbreak Perfected was going to have the potential to come back.
I just wanted it to come back, but it's fine. But like, but here's a great idea, Bungie. Rather than doing this, why not just buff primary stasis and strand weapons? Because you have a situation where like there's a great stasis pulse rifle that I love to death, Disparity, but it doesn't hit that hard. So if they made that thing hit more in PvE content, it would be worth using. Granted, there's some outliers like the Rakator, the Defiance Bow, that's somewhat good for high-end content, but like there's so many great opportunity weapons like Fang of You that could be good if we have a scout rifle seasonal mod. Freaking the Guardian Game scout rifle that if we have a seasonal mod, it would be great for. So there's all this potential for these weapons, but also kinetic weapons have kind of been hurt for a while. They need love, not nerfs. I get that you're only doing it to bosses, but it's like, why are we touching kinetic weapons when kinetic weapons are like barely being used long term beyond those 3 outliers? That it's like, hey, you gave us kinetic tremors. The rest of these weapons are hurting for any usable or viability. Like, yeah, there's Arbalist and Wishender, but look at all the kinetic weapons that nobody gives a shit about. Like, it's like beyond PvP. People are just not using these, or like yeah, there's memes like Monte Carlo because the bayonet, but like, when was the last time anybody used a kinetic PvE weapon like Lumina? Well, Lumina was always used, but like, can Bad Juju make a comeback? Can Bad Juju make a comeback? Like somebody,
I agree.
I agree. Yeah, that's the problem. Like,
but the biggest thing
are bad too.
Yeah.
In my opinion, for PvE.
The biggest problem is that there's no synergy with kinetic weapons with the 3.0 subclasses. Exactly. That's the biggest problem. So, if anything, I would recommend Bungie take kinetic weapons and bring them back to what they used to, and what the original Masterworks used to be about. Generating orbs and generating a shit ton of orbs.
Right. And that was the thing that annoyed me too, because it was like the whole reason why they got rid of that part of the masterwork was because they were worried about orb generation. And then in the next breath, they rolled out the new mod system, and we were already pooping out orbs left and right from just general like weapons shit and or general abilities and whatnot. It was like, make up your mind. Like, what was the point of taking that away?
Yeah, a lot of underwhelming. Like I'll big vouch for like hand cannons because there's not one that I think that's like, I don't know, that people like, I guess main, like maybe round robin for Strand and
right, like round robin, like Fatebringer still solid-ish.
It's just like for PvE, there's not anything that I can think of that's like viable to be like used a lot, especially with against bosses or like yellow bars. Like red bars, sure. You can kill them in like one shot, but like the rest, it's pretty much like just underwhelming. You know, like I would love them to buff up, Strand, Kinetic, like all those, but I don't see that anytime soon.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like tonight, the only thing Kinetic I was using was either friggin' Supremacy or Succession in Pantheon. That was it. Outside of that,
I was just important to this.
Are good though, like especially Supremacy and Succession, like. And then Outbreak, obviously, Outbreak's really good, but
outside of that, I'm either using Riptide with Chill Clip or Scatter Signal, with freaking Overflow and for Control Burst. Sorry, brain decided to freaking stop working there for a second. Those are like the two best specials outside of needing something like a sniper.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about something that I'm kind of weirded out by. Bungie said they're removing the Foundry names from certain things like Vice Rapid Fire, Hake Precision, and Amalon weapons, and I'm like, so now Amalon just gonna be what is the Amalon fucking thing? But like Vice Stinger is just gonna be Stinger, or like what are they doing there? Like, I'm weirded out by that, or like I don't fully understand why. And then like Amalon would become where's my damn fucking Amalon? You mean just fluid dynamics, or like how's that gonna work? Or maybe I'm overthinking this, or maybe it's just the frames. Like, so yeah, okay, it's just the frames. I'm wrong. I apologize. And then here's what I'm really excited about, because Bungie kind of dropped a little hint about something, and I'm really excited that they're making it so some aggressive hand cannons struggle to compete with the stats of top tier examples. Igneous Hammer. So they're bringing back the GOAT Cribble's Dagger. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. They said something new. I think that's the solar like the solstice hand cannon, and I'm like, no one really cares about that. So like, cool, but also like, yay, I guess. Like I like Cribble's Dagger. Yay, something new. Like
I don't even know what that one is. A solar solstice?
Yes, the solstice hand cannon. It was specifically like a gimmick because originally the perk had like a whole thing where you could like buff your overall like ammo economy similar to Envious Assassin, but it was like you would get a kill with it, then it would buff the ammo of the other weapon or some shit. But like no one really used it. It was a 120 that was kind of meh. So it was like, whatever. Like the best roll you can get for it, it seems like, when I'm looking at the rolls, is like Feeding Frenzy Headstone on a 120, and it's like, so
yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, so like, but yay, Crippled Dagger coming back, yay. Okay, now low inventory sniper rifles, buff, we love it. Linear fusion rifles, adaptive burst linears are strong, but in cases are quite hard to control. So they're reducing the animation kick and recoil for adaptive linear fusions. And oh my Lanta, that's gonna be fun, because maybe, just maybe, we might see the return of the duality linear, and it not like the best linear in class now won't just be the Season of the Wish linear. So we'll actually
using that Storm Chaser.
Yeah, Storm Chaser used to be the GOAT, but it's like I need it to be the GOAT again because I miss it. It was great.
Nah, let it rest.
I'm a big fan of Cataclysmic. I still love that thing.
I'm about to say Cataclysmic's still pretty powerful too. It's a precision frame, but it's like like the new Season of the Wish one, Doom Petitioner's been kind of like solid. Yeah. So I'm hoping we see the return of some of these other ones when it comes out. So that'd be kind of cool. Now here's the big one: wave frame grenade launchers deal competitive damage as in the Destiny 2 Lightfall update. But they are making it so the size of the wave is now affected by the blast radius stat. And they already are nerfing blast radius, but they're making it so the default display stat for the blast radius has been changed from 50 to from 100 to 50, where 50 represents the previous baseline. Any stat over 50 will result in a larger wave segment than what was possible before. And they're also making it where special ammo wave frame grenade launchers overperform. So we've pulled back the length of the wave, and they're taking it from 22 meters to 15, except for Dead Messenger because it's an exotic. Which cool, very fair. But like, I feel like we're overcorrecting the wave frame issue, especially with the fact that like, other than Forbearance, nobody's really using wave frames. I think the issue is that like you had the Season of Defiance wave frame, the solar one that came out pre 3.0 solar, and you have two different void ones. Like the Truth Teller reskin is kind of cool because it can get destabilizing rounds, but it can't compete with the damage output that Forbearance can. And the other one, the first ever wave frame that came out during Season of the Hunt, can't really roll with anything that's worth a damn anymore. Nope. So it's like, if anything, what we should have done is make other wave frames that can compete with Forbearance that would be beneficial for special clips, like especially that play into the other elements. Because do you know how cool it would have been for the duality grenade launcher to have been a stasis wave frame like that isn't a special, and it actually do some cool stasis freezing components? Or like if we because we have the Strand one now, which is great, but overall we're not seeing anything really expansive with that. So I find myself frustrated that forbearance is like being kicked in the shins like this constantly, where they're like, "Hey, you did a bad thing. You were too good for so long." But it's like you just made it a brave weapon. Why?
I was gonna say they made another one
Right.
to grind for when like other like Deafening Whisper is a wayframe. Who uses that?
I mean, I have one, but it's like Deafening Whisper was the Season of the Hunt one, and it's like
But
that
it's like
could
collecting dust in your vault at the moment.
honestly. So it's like
Yeah.
if they
Instead of
like you know how cool an
buffing it,
incandescent waveframe would be? An incandescent
Yeah.
waveframe would be insane.
instead we're nerfing them into the ground, even though forbearance is still probably going to be used a lot. You know, like I would just keep forbearance the way it is and just like somehow buff up the other ones.
Right.
You know? Like Dead Messenger, I don't think is even used a lot anymore.
I mean, ever since its nerf, it really hasn't been that great because they made it so. I believe the secondary waves and the sides don't do as much damage.
Yeah, so I don't get that change. I don't know why like it's catching strays even more. You know, like they're the best because it's like an ad clear like frame, but it's like I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't think it was needed.
Cajun, do you have any thoughts when it comes to forbearance?
To be honest, the fact that it's got chain reaction is the reason why it's really as good as that is. Even Tusk of the Boar is really good because it's got chain reaction. Chain reaction is by far the reason why those two wayframe GLs roll the way that they do.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that it got nerfed, but they do need to work on the other perks or make more specific perks for those GLs to kind of like have them compete with give us another perk to combat or fight against chain reaction.
Right.
And at the same time, this is one of those unique situations that chain reaction really works for the wayframes because of how they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because of like if you had a regular GL, not a waveframe, just a regular GL, chain reaction wouldn't work in that
really,
format.
No.
Yeah,
No.
true.
Yeah, like vortex frame swords. Now, the way that the chain reaction is going to work for power weapons, it's going to be a 30% increase in damage for chain reaction on those weapons. Vortex frames could see a hell of a lot of use with freaking chain reaction because of how they work. So that wouldn't make them boss damage, but really good ad clear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if they would go back and make the Season of Defiance would have incandescent or released an incandescent waveframe, that would be like, hey yo, forbearance could take a break. Like give me a demo incandescent or ambitious incandescent solar waveframe, and like freaking forbearance can kick rocks. Like I'm okay with it. So it just like I find it very weird that we're like kicking a whole archetype into the dirt because one weapon overperformed and you just glorified it by giving it a brave form. It feels a little weird.
I feel like you should just add chain reaction to every single wayframe.
Honestly.
Like, just put like rework like the wayframes now, like deafening, and the other ones, and just put chain reaction in it.
Nice, yeah.
Essentially.
Now
like at that point.
it's time to have a funeral, kids. But we saw the reckoning that was Bungie taking the piss out of Divinity the first time, where they said, "Hey yo, we're halving its debuff," but now they're like, "Hey yo, we're just gonna put more dirt on the grave a little bit here." Well, they're saying they're increasing the number of shots required to generate the div cage by 75%. So not the mag, like I originally thought, thankfully, but the number of shots you have to hit before you. And what's funny is Bungie even acknowledged the fact that people trigger feather it, which is like tapping the trigger once you create the cage to conserve ammo. But they're trying to sort of like hit it. They're not changing how effective the cage is or how feathering works, but they're increasing how long it takes to generate the cage. That way you can't just like have div constantly. And the thing about it is
and this is the one thing I've had to explain to people is that when people come up with ways to circumvent, or in this case it was do something that Bungie didn't really originally intend it for. But at the same time, it wasn't groundbreaking. It was just a better way of doing it that Bungie never thought of.
Yeah.
So in this case, by feathering, they were keeping the stream constant, but not enough to where it would drop after 1.5 seconds. Because of that, they were able to almost double their ammo supply to keep the div cage up.
Right.
Bungie is now having to combat that by causing an increase of ammo currency. So now it roughly takes 2 seconds of constant stream to get the div cage up.
Right.
That's roughly about 35 rounds.
Which, and the thing about it is, I kind of agreed with a lot of, like, I was talking to a few different high-level players. Div had kind of been already, like, swapped out of people's loadouts unless you were doing, freaking, what's the damn head, the shoe? I said it earlier, freaking, I can't think of the damn name. Cenotaph stuff. Unless you were doing things with Cenotaph, no one really cared about Divinity anymore because you had things like Tether, you had things like Tractorkin. We made the joke way back when Div first got nerfed that you had things like Tempered Metal and Tractor and Tether before Div was even created to fall back on. So most people kind of already removed Div from the equation, except for certain bosses like Atheon and like Tanix to make getting the kills easier. But at the same time, it's like, I don't like it feels excessive. It feels excessive to me. Like, I understand, I agree with Cage's logic of like, hey, they kind of did something that we didn't intend for you to do. But like, this is one of them times where I'm kind of side-eyeing Bungie. Like, did you need to hit it again? You could have left it alone and it was fine. I don't know.
I feel like I've always thought about every time Divinity like gets like mentioned, because I know we have Tractorkin that kind of like, you know, debuffs or whatever it does at the same time, but it's not as used as Divinity. Is like, make something that Divinity does, make something different that is kind of similar, so we can like inch off of Divinity in a way. I don't know what they could do, but that's what I've been thinking for a very long time. It's like, I think they should make something similar, does kind of like the same thing, but in a different format, so we can like just get like let go. You know,
I can tell you why they don't do that, because it would make Garden obsolete.
Oh,
they refuse to give they refuse to update the weapons for Garden, which I don't know why they haven't done that. But so at that point, Garden would have no purpose if you make Div obsolete.
They better.
Do you know what I would do with a fucking updated Reckless Oracle, bro? If I had Reckless Oracle, I would be tripping. Hell, if you made the fucking sniper rifle from that raid actually worth a damn, I'd love it because it looks fucking dope.
Too.
But it's trash. The bow, I've yet to get the Archer's Tempo Explosive Head roll that bow. I've wanted it for so fucking long. Like, I would kill for that.
Hopefully during like the final shape at some point, or like
hopefully
they make it so they're craftable, enhanceable, something. Because like, I don't raid in that a lot because I have Divinity and like I have their weapons essentially. So it's like it's such a beautiful raid, but it's so like underrated.
Yeah, like it's one of my favorite raids of all time for that reason.
Yeah, it's because of the guns, essentially.
Yeah. We're gonna rapid fire some of these different changes because like we there's a lot to talk about. Like, some of these are kind of minor. So Rat King's firing animation was causing some problems when it come to hard control rate of fire. So they're tweaking that. Devil's Ruin was doing some glitch shit. PvP players know who you are. Don't do it anymore. They're taking away that glitch. Symmetry is getting more reload speed and handling off the catalyst, and they're adding eddy current to it, but they're also buffing eddy current down the road, which I think is kind of cool.
Which, by the way, for a lot of you ARC subclass players, get ready to start actually looking at eddy current to actually be part of your freaking weapon kits. Yeah. So combining that plus Volt Shot is going to be absolute busted.
Yeah,
for ARC subclass play.
We'll have to see how that goes specifically. Where was it? Galahorn's Wolfpack rounds are being altered in terms of like what they do. So
visual effects.
Yeah, they're updating the visual effects because updated the visual effects on Wolfpack rounds to match the damage type of the weapon. Example, on Galahorn, they will use solar effects, but on like something like Royal Entry rocket launcher buffed by Galahorn, they will have a void effect. So basically, the Wolfpack rounds will look a little different based on what type of shit you're using. So that's kind of cool.
Hold on, I want to talk about these next two. Sorry,
right.
These two are right up my alley. First and foremost, Ariana's Vow. Breaking a match shield or a barrier champion ignites them. Hell fucking yeah.
Finally, Ariana's Vow will be worth using again. Thank God.
Yeah, okay, and this one is going out to Panda Pell because we talked about this on freaking Twitter the other day. The Colony now spawns additional insectoids on final blows. Amount spawned is based upon a combatant type up to 5.
Yeah.
So to quote Man of War, Orifices, whatever the plural of orifice is, the Colony is literally coming for that ass.
Finally, though, I was actually meeting the other day in Pantheon. I was like, what if they, like, the Void Surge? What if we use Colony? And we're all like laughing. I was like, we need to buff Colony. We need to make it better, you know? Because it's not used.
I like it's cool in PvP occasionally, but like that'll actually make it worth a damn.
Yeah.
So here's two that one I'm excited about. Another one I'm a little annoyed by. So Touch of Malice, they're increasing the burn duration applied by the Darkness Ball from 2 to 3.5 seconds. Love that. But what I don't like is they're nerfing Osteostriga again. They're nerfing it to where it now has a 4-second cooldown between poison bursts. And I'm like, why? You already nerfed it once. Leave it alone.
Okay.
SMGs, you know.
Once again, this is similar to what they did with the splash damage nerf to freaking Sunshot, Trinity Ghoul, Polaris Lance, and Graviton Lance. Yeah, you had to figure something like that was going to come, and after seeing that one and then seeing Osteo, I was not surprised.
Same.
I'm surprised by this because like Osteo had fallen out of favor. It wasn't really being used that much, so it's like, why do we keep swinging at things for no reason when it's like you already took it out of the rotation of a lot of people when it comes to high level content? Why did you smack this so hard to where this is 2 nerfs now where no one's gonna want to touch it? This is the div situation all over again where we're making unnecessary nerfs for no reason rather than
you want to talk about nerfs? Look what they did to Lament.
Oh, so yes,
Yep.
They're reducing the healing effect of Lament by 20%. And while this weapon does inherit the 7% global buff to swords, they're reducing the damage of the high-end chained heavy attack by 20%.
So talking to some people, the current combo is block, light, heavy, 3 lights and a heavy. People are saying now you're gonna have to go block, 2 lights and then heavy. So get ready to change up your freaking muscle memory on that. But fuck.
My thing about this is this goes back to what I was saying about nerfing things for no reason. Like Lament was only being used excessively in terms of high usage because of Crota. But at the same time, it's like you saw an underdog come up with the Deepstone Sword, but now it's what people have been asking Bungie to do for a hot minute with upcoming changes is fix the ammo economy on Vortex frames, especially if they're going to reintroduce Guillotine and bring out something like the Slammer. Why wouldn't you fix the ammo economy on Vortex frames so they would be used in things like Crota? That way you see less use of Lament. But instead they're like, nah, just nerf Lament. Like, why? Why? Yep. It like, how, Sway? It doesn't make sense. It just feels weird and unnecessary.
I was not expecting it, but, I'm not surprised, especially because it's used for 8 tracks as well on top of Crota. But it's like, outside of that, I don't know.
So this wasn't okay. So then we got Necrochasm and Deterministic Chaos. So Necrochasm, the Cursed Thrall explosion burn duration got increased. They're removing Outlaw.
And they're giving it one for all.
Well, okay, it's called One for Thrall. That was I was like, okay, are we gonna get all for Thrall at some point?
Yes,
I'm just saying.
We have to.
Anyways, looking at you, My Hero Academia. Anyways, damaging 3 combatants in a quick succession grants damage, range, and aim assist. That's gonna be nutty.
It really will be. I definitely agree.
Deterministic chaos is again anti-barrier intrinsic.
Thank fucking God, because literally this thing had no worth using at all.
Now causes volatile every 4th bullet. Now causes weaken every 16th.
Here's an idea. Here's just a wild idea.
That's going to be fucking good.
I feel like they should just make the volatile be every 2nd bullet, because the thing about it is this the issue with things like destabilizing rounds or this exotic is that you have things like Volt Shot and Incandescent that trigger so much faster. Volatility needs a buff. Yes, there's things like the Hunter chest piece and like just throwing a grenade that proc it, but like the overall damage that volatility does caught such a nerf because of people doing things with like that chest piece and Retrofit Escapade that volatility isn't doing what it used to because people were doing funky shit with that combination. And it's like they need to revisit it and buff volatility if they want this thing to shine. And it's like, why aren't you letting things shine?
Right.
Yeah, it's because of the I guess the abuse of like doing things, because they it's not the first time they did it, especially when it comes to like aspects and fragments and all that stuff. So
now a top dog is finally getting the buff that I said it needed a long time ago. Queen Breaker is finally getting some love. Where reserve ammunition is being increased by 3, and they're buffing the damage against bosses, mini bosses, champions, and vehicles by 12. This thing will actually be worth using against unstoppable champions now because it has intrinsic blind. So that will be really good to use against those kind of weapons. But here's the thing. Why not 20%? Because I've been saying for the longest time, all this thing needed was a damage buff and it would actually be worth using again. And Bungie was like, "Now we're going to buff it a little bit, but not a lot." It's like, you could have buffed this thing by 20 to 30% and it still wouldn't be able to contend with things like Sleeper. And I don't understand what the thought process behind 12% is.
They probably don't want to overdo it just in case, so they don't have to nerf it later on.
Man,
at least that's what I see it. Hopefully it's still viable, honestly. I'll use it.
Now, one last thing, because I think that this will pretty much wrap this up.
Yeah.
The fundamentals. Now, this is in regards to things like Borealis, Hard Light, and Dead Messenger.
Yeah.
They will no longer reset damage types on death or respawn.
Mm-hmm.
Thank fucking God.
That was so annoying because you would have like Dead Messenger on like Void or Arc or Solar, and then like you would get up and be back to Void, and you're like, what? Like, huh? It would be weird. I remember I was doing a Corrupted one time, and I had Dead Messenger, and I had it on Arc to deal with the Arc Knights in the Ogre room, and I got rezzed, and it was like, well, I'm back on Void. It was like, why? Why is this a thing? It doesn't make sense.
One weapon that I kind of want them to like talk about eventually is Darcy.
Yes.
I want that.
They've got to do something with freaking Darcy.
Just make it a special weapon. Let Whisper be the only heavy sniper.
I honestly don't think that it should, but they gotta up the damage. Like they gotta give it the Whisper the Worm treatment.
I agree.
Maybe. Honestly, we just need more heavy snipers. I feel like we need more heavy snipers.
Yeah, I think if they buff that too, I think people would use it. At least put it on par with like Worm, Whisper, but I don't know. Like I always forget about it. I never see it in like these articles, and it's just like, what? Why not? Like, what is happening? Why don't you like Darcy? I feel like they just don't like that gun.
Yeah. I would definitely encourage anybody who wants to look at the different weapon changes like Alacrity and Archer's Gambit, definitely check the article, but we need to hop over to the Twid because we are like have a lot of stuff to cover. So definitely we will keep the link. We will put the links in the show notes if you need to access those. But we're gonna hop over to the Twid because Bungie is dropping heat on these mugs because weapon enhancement is finally being discussed in depth. And oh boy, So Bungie has finally said that they are going to allow other weapons besides crafted weapons to be enhanceable. But there are some caveats. A, raid adept weapons are the only weapons that will be able to change their first and second columns. You can only change the barrel and the mag on raid adept weapons. So be conscious. That's awesome.
This is going to be one of the biggest reasons now to go after adept weapons. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, the fact that they're sunsetting, I'm going to use that term, adept big ones, it's kind of like, Bungie, the fuck.
Yeah.
You gave us a reason now to go after these adept weapons by changing the first two columns.
Yeah.
But now it's like we're losing out that extra damage, and it's like,
Yeah, it feels kind of weird. Like, granted, we still have things like adept mag and stuff like that, but it's like,
I feel like maybe the reason they're removing it is just to put something new in.
Maybe.
They better be sharing it soon.
Prismatic perks. I don't
know. Maybe there's something in there that we can use that will like replace it. But it's me coping.
Yeah, maybe.
Basically.
We'll have to see though, because something could be coming down the pipeline. We'll find out soon. Now, one thing that I want to touch on is the fact that they specifically have listed out what weapons are going to be grandfathered into this program. It's a lot more than what we thought, but there's some caveats because Val raid weapons, King's Fall raid weapons, Guardian games, Gambit, competitive Crucible, all of them. So Enhanced Rose is going on the menu, boys. Trials of Osiris weapons that are currently available. All Crucible weapons that are currently available within reason. We'll touch on that. Same thing with Vanguard and Gambit and Nightfalls and Vanguard Ops. And the new Prophecy Dungeon rework weapons. And the reason why I said there's caveats is they said specifically this will include older instances of these weapons as long as they have an origin trait. Unfortunately, due to some technical constraints, there are a handful of weapons instances from before Season 17 that have origin traits and are active drops, but they will not be eligible for weapon enhancements. So there's a handful of those, but like everything else will be able to be enhanced. What was Season 17? I can't even remember this numbering system anymore. Season 2 Destiny was Season of the Haunted. So anything pre-Season of the Haunted will not, but that has an origin trait, will not be able to have anything. But anything post-Season of the Haunted will be. That means Season of the Risen weapons won't be able to be enhanced. Damn, that sucks. But like. Other than that, anything past Season of the Haunted is fair game, kids. And there's already some hot picks that I'm looking at. Like some of the newer versions of Hung Jury are gonna be tight. Burden of Guilt Adept will be able to have enhanced chill clip, and I'm hyped for it.
No, I'm very excited for Riptide.
Oh yeah,
Riptide God, really good. My favorite sniper. Eye of Soul. I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh yeah, and things that came from the Duality Dungeon will be able to be enhanced. So like enhanced chill clip on Lingering Dread will be kind of nasty. There's so many good things that are going to be coming in the pipeline that are being grandfathered into this that I'm really excited about.
Sadly, I was looking at this list and a Hothead is not going to be on the list of upgraded, but the Crucible version of it.
No one cares about that damn thing. People only gave a crap about it because they didn't grind for a Hothead when they were supposed to, and Blowout had demos. They were like, "Oh, let's go grind for it," and it was like because everyone was using Starfire Protocol. That was the only reason why they gave a shit about it. It's not like they actually cared.
Yeah.
Though I am excited for the fact that deep stone weapons were already craftable, but there's just certain things like plunder weapons might actually see some new light because of this, which I'm kind of excited by the fact that enhanced plunder weapons are going to be a thing. There's going to be just a handful of cool stuff that if it has an origin trait and it dropped after Season 17, we're gonna see some gas come up in here. We might see some different things. Enhanced
like,
cataphract, brother. Yes.
You said plunder though. Have you played with Brigand's Law?
Oh, Brigand's Law don't leave my inventory. Brigand's Law is a savage.
I feel like not a lot of people know about how good that sidearm is, and it's my favorite sidearm.
It was the only good weapon from that season. I say it all the time that like
I feel like the Tarnish Metal is kind of underrated.
Oh well, Tarnish Metal, yeah, because it's one of the only good ARC Scout rifles there is.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that.
So those two, yeah, those are really really good ones.
So I'm very excited to see what Bungie cooks up. I'm excited for a lot of the enhanced Nightfall weapons. Like my Wendigo getting to be enhanced, bro. Y'all ain't ready for me, dog. I'm about to be walking around just busting everybody's chops. It's gonna be a bad day. So that's gonna be a fun thing. And they did specify that there won't be the only thing that'll cost spoils of conquest to enhance these will be raid weapons, which cool. Yep. I'm down for that. But there's gonna be some interesting things that come out of this. We're gonna see some Gambit weapons might actually become meta here soon. We might see some certain things. I'm excited for Rose, Polaris D or Belisarius D, and the Nightfall sniper. No, not the comp sniper. Actually, be worth a damn when it comes to some PvE content because an enhanced Mercurial Overreach, bruh.
Yeah, that could be good.
Mm-hmm. So there's gonna be some gas.
Yeah, and now with this new system, it's going to be a direct competition against crafting, in which once again, Bungie, I'm going to say this wholeheartedly, do not make Final Shape raid weapons craftable. Keep that to this. Keep that.
It's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think there needs to be more incentive to go back into these raids. Because crafting did kind of ruin that for the raids as far as replayability. Some cool quality of life changes, reduced fragment costs at Ikora. For new lights, I'm going to say this is a big one, and I'm thankful on Bungie on this. Even though we got up to 500,000 glimmer we can store, changing it from 25 to 10, fucking great. Good job, Bungie. Good one on that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be the biggest thing. Is that now one thing that I'm excited for, and is gonna make the stress of holiday events a little less strenuous. Memento stack cap limits are going up now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
For people who don't read the TWID, I need you to pay attention. I don't want to hear, oh, there's something wrong with my mementos come Final Shape. Please pay attention. Bungie is saying the way they are going to make it so they can raise the memento cap is that any old mementos that you have when Final Shape comes out, you are going to have to dismantle them in your inventory for them to become the stackable version. So please make sure that you pay attention to that and dismantle your mementos. That way you are able to access them post Final Shape. That is very important.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing that. I have one of my Postmaster right now, just sitting there.
Yeah, so that'll be the thing is or even if they're in your inventory, Bungie is saying you'll have to dismantle it for it to become the new stackable version.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm about to use mine then. I've been just saving them for raid weapons because I don't raid a lot, so I have a bunch of new guns I can put them on now. So thankfully,
yeah. So I want to holler at I want to revisit the well, first of all, Cajun, we're going to get my 0 hour done after the podcast. But how do you feel about the 0 hour experience for what you I have my opinions based off some things that I've seen and what I've watched. But how do you feel about 0 hour in its current state that it's been brought back?
Okay, so first and foremost, I'm gonna say this.
All right.
0 hour feels better than Whisper.
Ooh.
I'm going to say this from the difficulty standpoint. Now, originally, a lot of people were of the opinion, not of the understanding, when they selected normal, it was going to be 1810 mobs at light level. It's not.
It's not.
They are at a -15 power delta.
Mm-hmm.
So Now, when you go into Legend, they are at the same thing, a negative 15 power delta. So what this means is that the enemy difference is no different as far as level. The only difference is going to be less time and more shields.
Yes.
So now,
didn't Legend Zero Hour have a different pathway too, or did they change that?
No. Okay, so I'm going to explain the differences. So in normal, you've got to go the longer route. And it's what the original route was.
Okay.
You've got 40 minutes. It's easy. It's fairly easy to do with a coordinated team. And you're going to be able, now the one big thing is that they did add in brigs, and the big brig at the end is pretty freaking chunky.
Okay.
So now when you take that and you go on to freaking Legend,
it's chunky.
It's chunky, but now you got to do that in 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes on top of doing the levers. And if you want to do the puzzle, which you can do the puzzle. One thing I want to tell people, if you're listening, yes, that little puzzle is for a ship, but that ship is also tied to your craftable intrinsics. You need those intrinsics, so you need to do the puzzles. After doing 0 hour normal for people and doing some helps with Legend, I'm going to say this. Legend does require it's going to require some good coordination. You're going to have to be pretty good with jumps. Swap the strand if you need to. Use eager-head swords if you need to in order to make up time. At the end of the day, the two biggest recommendations I could recommend in the current season: use Polaris Lance with 2 people, and 1 person use Dragon's Breath. Dragon's Breath will destroy every spider tank in 1 shot.
Really? You know Legend?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's wild.
So that's going to save you a lot of time, especially in the last boss room. I've been able to get to the boss room with 6 minutes left, and we're able to kill the boss, the big brig, with 1 minute left.
Wow, that's wild.
So Polaris Lance hitting it in the faceplate will literally stun it and keep it from doing the freaking the AoE damage. Now, it won't stop the orbital bombardment, but if you go all the way to the very back of the boss room, spread out, and just plink away, you can just walk strafe out of the freaking orbital bombardment and just keep going.
Oh.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I'll definitely do it when I do it.
All right, bet. Well, that's some good guidance to that. I'm gonna say, Nope. Have you done it yet?
So I've only done it once before it came back out. So
okay.
I had no idea, because like my memory is pretty bad, so I had no idea what to do when I got in there. But I only done the normal one.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So I have the Outbreak, but I still need to go and do the puzzles and do Legend. But I'm pretty excited to do that. I'll probably do it like tomorrow or something like that.
Okay,
but I do like the mission. I do like Whisper more, but I don't mind this one. I do like the puzzle in this one, like having to go through those plates where you have to like follow the path. Like I like those types of things in this game, like those puzzles.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Now
I will say this one last thing though.
Mm-hmm.
It is great to have Trevor back.
Oh, Trevor's so great.
Oh my god. I've gotten clips of either myself getting freaking gotten sideways by freaking Trevor, and I'm sorry, Willow, I'm gonna call you out. That scream was fucking golden.
That's hilarious.
He came around the corner, didn't see the red light, and freaking, hi, there's Trevor.
That's funny. So okay. Now to wrap this up, I want to speak on the advancement of Pantheon. And I want to talk about this still because a lot of people don't seem to understand and have not learned their lesson. Like I feel like Bungie is sitting here like the bikini bottom populace going, I thought we taught you this lesson, old man. Like they're having to tell people stop trying to just like rush this. Stop trying to run random shit that isn't going to be viable, and stop trying to think you're just going to roll in here with an LFG squad with no comms and nothing correct, and think you're just going to clear everything. Because that's the issue that I'm seeing from the clips that I've seen from people who posted in the forum and the subreddit, is people are getting frustrated. Regardless of what week it's been, everybody seems to peace out at planets or peace out at Roke. And those are the two, or Oryx. I've seen a lot of Oryx too. Those three encounters are the perfect example of why people who come into raiding and don't want to do a role. And what's been a running joke the past few weeks is ad clear has become such a toxic position to be in a raid, where you should never volunteer for ad clear. Ad clear should be the last thing picked. And when it comes to if everyone else has a job, you shouldn't be happy. Like that should be the default. Not, I'll do ad clear. Because that's the issue that I'm seeing with a lot of people, is they want to just be carried through shit and not actually do a job. That's why a lot of people are piecing out at planets before they even touch Atrax or Oryx or Roke, is because they don't want to do mechanics. They don't want to do the actual things that are going on in the activity. They just want to be carried through, and they expect other people to carry them on their backs. And I don't understand why that's people's mindset when it comes to this game. Like, you are doing a boss gauntlet. What makes you think you should be carried through a boss gauntlet? Like, that's why I think Root of Nightmares at its core was such a bad thing for the community, because it became ad clear the raid, where two motherfuckers could do almost everything in the raid, and the rest of them could sit there and kill things. And that is not what we should be striving towards as a community. And that's the issue that I see here, is so many people complaining about people leaving LMGs, people not wanting to do jobs and just do ad clear. And it's just like, what do you expect? Motherfuckers went through Root of Nightmares and thought they could just ad clear, and this is the community that has been fostered from that.
I feel like since I've been doing Pantheon, and I love Pantheon, by the way, like, granted, I'm not the biggest raider. I'll admit it. Like, I've done the raids maybe like 10 plus times, like 10 to 50. Yeah. But I went in there being like, I want this. So I sit down, I learn, and I, figure out what I'm doing wrong or what my team's doing wrong. And like, it's like the dedication as well in wanting it. The biggest issue is planets right now. Because a lot of people, especially with my team, especially with the regular planets, you did not have the tornado on your butt, like, at all. Now you have to be on point where the tornado is. And ad clear can mess up in planets. So if you're not on point and top like planets are going back and forth and you're not ad clearing, they're gonna get ripped up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is like a lot of people get stuck at that point and they get frustrated, but it's also at the same time, it's like you have to, like, there's sound cues. I always tell people, like, there's sound cues of that tornado. I always try to listen for that. Or like go in the middle of like the platform. You can stand right in the middle; it will not touch you.
And it's like, and it concerns me, because like you see Oryx as well, where people are out here just going, hey, we're just gonna like not actually do shit. And it's like, do you know how intense Oryx is, where you have to be doing mechanics, you have to do things. Now they're like, hey, on top of everything you have to do for Oryx, you have to make sure you're killing light eaters, otherwise your bombs get deleted. And it's like,
and those things are chunky. Those aren't. I'm gonna tell you now, even with scatter signal, even with at one point I was able to proc get class warrior up to 3.
Oh yeah.
And with radiance.
Like, if you don't have a debt of kindness, that motherfucker's gonna be there for a while.
You know what's good for those?
It took me anywhere from 3 to 4 shots of freaking scatter signal. And that's with even proccing control damage or control burst. Those things are chunky as fuck.
What's your idea? I'm curious.
You got to be able to freaking take those out, and they're gonna come.
Really?
I use Riptide on those. One, if they're booking it to the bomb, it slows them, and you have time to kill them. It takes me maybe about 2 shots, and then I could finish them.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to do that next week as well, because I've been using arc weapons. I've been especially because they have arc shields.
Honestly,
I've been using arc weapons with them.
Goes so well every single time. I'm always like, I'm using chill clip. Please use it. Like if they're runners, they're zooming. Just pop a chill clip or like
Bungie, unnerf Riptide chill clip. I'm just saying, please.
Well, no, because here's here's my thought process behind that. The reason why they're not unnerfing the chill clip on Riptide, if you look at the list, Riptide chill clip is going to be able to be enhanced.
True.
That's why they're not nerfing that, because they know that if they let chill clip enhance be unleashed on Riptide, it's going to be a problem. So they're making sure they fix that.
Let it be a problem. I enjoy a problem.
Honestly, so the reason why people are struggling with planets and orcs is because you need 4 people.
Yeah.
In a raid. You have to, especially with orcs, you don't get to choose if you're taken.
Yep. You don't get to choose. I love those kind of mechanics so much.
I absolutely freaking love that. And how many times I was ad clear? How many times did I get called, especially on the third freaking run?
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. Like I enjoy raid mechanics like rogue, like orcs, and like planets, where you have to have a job. You don't get to hide from that. I love when Bungie forces a job on you.
But even then, that goes back to what you were saying before. If I was a new light and I had never done orcs before, and I just assumed ad clear, and all of a sudden I got freaking taken, I wouldn't have any idea, even with being explained. So that right there could have easily have constituted a 50-50 chance of constituted probably a wipe. Especially if that's the third run.
Yeah.
Because you gotta get those runs down on time. You don't have a whole lot of time. You gotta be quick.
That's why I've been telling people that get out of that mindset of just ad clear the game. This isn't just ad clear. People need to move past that mindset.
At best, I'm gonna say this to a lot of new lights and people that have never really ventured into raids. I'm not saying Pantheon's not for you if you're skilled enough. And if you're, hold on, there's always exceptions to the policy. I'm going to state those exceptions. If you're skilled enough, if you can jump into the fray and learn very quickly, sure. If you can pull your weight, meaning that you've got good weapon selection, you have an understanding of how different perks works and such, cool. Give it a shot.
Here's
but if you're a new or extremely casual individual, I am going to say this with a lot of respect. I'll take you through the normal raids. I will teach you those. I will teach you those mechanics.
Same.
And I will help you get to understand the fundamentals of working as a fire team in raids. But going something through like Pantheon, you are going to have the worst time of your life. And it's not because I'm going to be screaming or fussing at you or trying to keep correcting you. It's because the constant getting your ass kicked. Because, we were in Pantheon week 3 for 4 hours getting our shit kicked in.
Yeah.
Welcome to raids, it's not free loot. You're gonna work your ass off.
And the thing about it is, and like I think it was iShield made him put it on Twitter earlier this week, where she straight up said, like, hot take, I don't think that like Pantheon is for newer raiders, and it's not a gatekeeping statement, but so many people will take this as a gatekeeping statement. Like, this is supposed to be where you sling out big dick style. This is supposed to be like, I know people like the hardest of the hardcore are like trioing and soloing it. Someone soloed the first week of Pantheon, but that's because they're sweating their balls off to get that down. Like, Pantheon past maybe week 1 should not be a carry. There should not be people carrying people through that content. If you want to like help other people because they don't have a team and they have raided before, they know what they're doing,
Honestly, that right there, I agree.
Like
with
that's
that.
fine, but like the amount of people that I've seen the D2 LFGs on both on Discord and in the app who are like, I've never raided before. Can you teach me how to do Pantheon? I'm gonna be that guy and say no. That should not be what the community is striving for. To tell people, if you've never raided before, come take your ass in here. No. Like I understand that Bungie kind of made it appealing by saying, "Hey, free adept loot," but like, no, that's not what we're here to do.
So someone said in chat, Pantheon is not meant to be teaching the classroom. Now I'm gonna adjust what they said. It's Pantheon's not the final exam.
It's the midterm.
And I'm gonna point towards Brainiac Games over on Twitter. He said this in response to, I think it was Ice Shield mating, and this works. Raiding, normal raid is the homework.
Yep.
Pantheon is the test.
Yes.
Yep.
Contest mode
is the final exam.
Is the final exam.
Yes.
That is how you need to view it. And I'm not doing that in a gatekeeping way, but that is literally the progression of what that is.
And yet so many
and once you understand that, two things. One, you're going to be okay with it, and you're going to be ready for the challenge to start learning the homework in order to get to the test.
Yeah.
Or two, you realize that you can't get the free loot or the quick access to loot, and you're going to walk away. I recently had someone who wanted conditional finality from Root of Nightmare, and they thought that they were going to get it on the first drop.
Oh.
And when I explained that was not the case, that it was literally RNG based, you could be either first drop or literally 50 times later, they said, well, then I'll never raid.
Yeah,
that's pitiful.
That's somebody who does not want to do any PvE stuff, in my opinion.
That's just somebody who wants to come in and be rewarded for nothing.
If you're gonna go in, do one run, and then think you're gonna get like that reward, like this is not how the game goes. You know, you have to pretty much work for the weapon. You know, and it's like with Pantheon, a lot of people, I think it stems to FOMO. That's why a lot of people are trying to do this, is because of the title and the emblems. Like, you can get the weapons doing normal raids. Like, I don't think it's the weapons at all, maybe the red borders, but I think that's why people are trying to push into trying to do Pantheon, is because of the emblems and the title itself. And it's just like, I always tell people, when I'm doing helps for week 1 and week 2, I'm like, I at least want you to familiarize yourself with how this works, with how Oris, Golgoroth, like the mechanics, because I cannot teach you. Like, I'm straightforward with people. It's like, I'm, great, I'm not the best at the game, but like, I know my roles. I know what to do. And I've done this. I've done day ones. And next week is going to be contest mode. It's going to be day one. And if you haven't done it, like, good luck.
And that's the other thing, is that the one other thing for Pantheon is that, yes, it's the same boss encounters. Like the first the first week, it was... Sorry, brain is freaking. Oh God, man, I hate this.
My
ADHD is going bad right now. Okay, so the first one was, we had to fight Atrax at the very end.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
And before that, we had Golgoroth, we had Caretaker, and then we had planets. Okay, so. The following week, all they did was they added one more boss. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you're just redoing it. No. Here's the thing. 1, the search has changed. 2, a new modifier. 3, light difficulty went further down.
Yep.
It's done that now for 3 weeks in a row. Okay? So most times anybody freaking goes run it normal Caretaker, hunter-wise. Take your pick, Arc Staff or Golden Gun. This week, for this run, I ran in there with freaking Assassin's Cowl. Off the wall build. But 2 things. It helped with ad clear, and I was able to keep ×3 Class Warrior up the entire time. You want to talk about helping out with survivability and damage output? That type of build crafting and that type of off-the-wall thinking really comes in play with something like Pantheon.
Yeah, and the thing,
It's
and the
not
thing
for the
about
weak. It's
it,
not.
and the thing about it is, I remember what was it? Not last week, where we had just a dude who wanted to bring his friend with him through on our team with us. And the thing about it is, dude didn't know how to do Oryx. He had never done Oryx before, but he did everything else. It was like, bro, that's not how this works. Like,
Yeah.
one thing that Bergen Star, a UK content creator, put in Ice Shield Maiden's post about this. He said, while I agree that Pantheon should not be your first raid experience, I do think it's a good starting point if it was in a different direction. If we had these difficulties across all raids for a longer period of time, people could work up to these harder challenges, and I agree with that. If Bungie would implement not just Master, but all of these tiers for every raid, and you would have people have been asking, like Salt and all the different day one raiders have been asking for contest mode to be a changeable thing all the time. But I know for a fact that Bungie doesn't do that, because if they did, people would just break contests. They would find a way to break contests and diminish it. But here's the thing. We're having so many individuals who hear the prestige of day one raiding, and they go in with an LMG and they think they're hot shit, and they go in there and they be demoralized, and they don't ever want to raid again or try again. And that's what keeps happening to a lot of individuals, is they go in there, they get their dick kicked in, and it's not for them, and they get turned off from it. But the thing about it is, I don't think the idea of having contest mode as a constant alternate way of doing things is a bad thing, because it would make it so many people would go in with unrealistic expectations. That's the biggest thing that I see, is that across the board. So I remember when Oryx came back, and everyone was like, we're going to go kill Oryx, yay! And then it was like, oh no, those totems are going to fucking wreck your shit. And like, that you had to be quick as a dime to get across that field. And people didn't understand that. And they were dying. Or like when Vogue first came back, and people thought they were going to ball out on Atheon and get out of there with next mythic class. And they found out, oh, I can't even get in the door. Like, that was the crazy thing that I saw, is that people couldn't even get in the door. Yep. So it's like, I genuinely feel that Bungie needs to re-examine the concept of giving us all of these different tiers all the time. Like, even if you get rid of the tormentors and shit, just give us these modifiers all the time for difficulty. That way we can start training people to be ready for day one things. Because you know at some point Wrath's going to come back, Leviathan and all the other raid layers are going to come back. So I think Bungie would be very advantageous after the final shape to introduce these long term. Even if Pantheon doesn't come back, have these different modifiers in terms of the light levels be accessible always for every one of these raids. Also, fix the rope cheese, because the rope cheese is stupid.
I'm a big fan of Rogue, so I'm happy that they put in like the Rogue.
Another one.
So like I'm content, but like I feel like I get the understanding of wanting contest mode all the time, but I feel like it would diminish day ones. You know how people got upset with 48 hours? It kind of would feel the same way in the terms of difficulty, because right now we have Master, and I feel like that's like okay. You know, I don't really do this a lot, but I feel like constantly having to do the difficulty and then doing a day one is not going to be hard, in my opinion, because you're practicing over and over again for something that shouldn't. At least I don't think. You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like that was the first thing that I said, because I do agree with you. Some people would have that opinion, but I've even seen top raiders who have been begging Bungie to implement contest mode like as an alternate mode for like years now. Because that's been the kind of the issue since Beyond Light, is that like nobody has realistic expectations of day one, and they go in there with unrealistic expectations, they have a bad time.
But so I feel like Pantheon is the right direction. In my opinion, like I feel like this not all the time, but come every like few months or something like that.
That's a good idea, actually.
So it's not constant, you know.
I'll even take it a step further. I'll even take it a step further. If Bungie was to put an account-wide limitation, like if you attempted it and you didn't succeed, you can't go back in.
I don't know if people would like that though.
Yeah. And see, to the more hardcore teams, that would give them more emphasis of making sure that they got the time set aside to give it a full-on try and push. Whereas the more casuals, it would be like, hey, this is going to be more of an experience for you.
Yeah.
And to see if you're really prepared for this. If you are, the next time it comes around, be prepared for it.
Yeah. I do think there's credence to the potential of what Nope's throwing down, though, of a seasonal boss gauntlet.
Exactly.
Because think about it. The biggest complaint that a lot of people have is that while the boss encounters for the raid layers were great, the lead up to the raid layers of the Leviathan weren't the best. So what if they just put all the raid layers in a gauntlet? Like have Spire, Eater, and Crown all be in a gauntlet.
The one thing that really makes Pantheon really not only attention worthy, but also exciting is one part of the loot to the challenge. So that's the biggest thing. Bungie has found a way to make both it rewarding for the player, but also enticing to attempt a challenge to prove your mettle as a fire team.
Right.
They nailed it with Pantheon. And the problem is that if they were to bring it back, how could they bring it back? You know, of course, we've already seen that they can do it. They can make it challenging. But what about rewarding? Are they going to do the same thing again? Yeah. What other thing could they do to the next time Pantheon, if they brought Pantheon around, to make it rewarding for the players?
I'll tell you what to do. Do what they did with Whisper and Zero Hour. Give different rewards. Like if you like this time it was a set of emblems. Next time it's a ship. Next time it's a sparrow. Next time,
cosmetics.
Yeah, like that. Like the drip is the end game. Like, give people something more. Hell, one thing that you could do if the next boss gauntlet has Atheon and Oryx in it, bring back the armor, like the armors from the fucking what was it? I can't remember the fucking title, but like the see how we got the Crota armor for that time period. Give us the Atheon and the Oryx armor from that era.
You just beat me to the punch. I was like, you know what? If Bungie made a specific armor set for Pantheon that was just absolute god tier badass looking, holy shit, let me go fucking running that bitch freaking all goddamn month.
Almost definitely.
They should also include Garden and Bog eventually when they upgrade like those weapons.
Yes,
Garden.
Add more to the next Pantheon. Do different emblems. Do the final shape boss too. Put the witness in there. Do those guns. They.
What if that's how they brought back? What if that's how they bring back some of Leviathan?
That's what I did. That's what I just said. Was that's how you do the raid layers? You freaking make it those, but doesn't be a boss gauntlet. Just have Spire, Eater, and Crowd be a boss gauntlet. That's I just said that. Are you deaf, motherfucker? What, dude?
Bring back an Insurrection Prime.
Sorry,
please.
my fucking ADHD went sideways earlier.
But it's like, so that we'll have to definitely see what Bungie cooks up. But please, folks, if you're just not ready for it, don't push yourself in Pantheon. That's all I ask. But Nope, you are our guest, and we appreciate you so much for being here. You get to go first for your final statement of the evening. What do you want to leave the audience with in terms of a final statement?
Oh gosh, I'm in the spotlight. I get nervous. But thank you for inviting me. I had a great time and would love to be back if you guys want me to be back. This is not this is my third time being on a podcast. So I'm I do like to yap, so I have a lot of opinions and stuff. So but yeah,
you fit right in.
I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate it though. Thank you. Most
definitely.
Okay,
all right, cool. Cajun, I'm gonna cut you for once. You need to go last. So here's what I want to say to folks. the next 2.5 weeks are going to test you.
Yep.
Take care of your mental, but for the people that are prepping, find good, healthy, committed people that are going to go into this raid with you. We found out tonight firsthand that people will drop out on the stride of a dime who aren't willing to commit, aren't willing to be there, and granted, and sometimes loyalty can be a motherfucker. We're like, yo, I don't want to be here unless my friend's here, kind of thing, and that can be respectable. But when you aren't able to build a team dynamic with individuals and have a strong synergy, it can lead to a lot of complications. So guard your heart and guard your mental when it comes to going up into specific people. And granted, there is that great story of an LFG beating a day one raid, but at the same time, do what's best for you and your health, both mental and physical and psychological. Do what's best for you with the impending changes that are afoot. Do what's best for you. Please. Cajun, what you want to leave with people with?
So, as soon as my cat stops putting her tail in the camera. So, first and foremost, as a lot of y'all saw with the weapon changes, some people feel some sort of way, about how Bungie made changes. Bungie is going to see data that we are not going to see. And they're going to make changes that, some of them don't sit right with us. But at the end of the day, Bungie is trying to do the best for the game. And we got to have a little bit of faith that that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Now, later on next week, we are going to see the exotic and class ability changes. I'm going to say this, brace for impact.
Banner of War is getting hit, baby. I'm telling you now, it's going to happen.
I'm going to say, be expecting a lot of classes to either get hit or some things get buffed. I'm hoping a lot of the exotics get fine-tuned and brought up to the level that we've been receiving. So many exotics.
Yes.
So many exotics are just not where they should be.
Yes.
And Bungie, I'm hoping that you took the time to cook and bring up a lot of these exotics.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm going to piggyback on JP. Take the time, 2 weeks, touch some grass, and as I said before, eat some ass.
Yes.
Do yourself a favor, step away if you need to. Do not allow yourself to get burnt out. Have some fun. When Final Shape drops, be ready to lock and load, meet up with Daddy Cade yet again, and as a Vanguard and as a fire team, let's go beat this son of a bitch.
Let's do it.
Banner of War's getting hit. We'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Bye.
Later, y'all.